Are you bringing us down?
What if I told you all you knew was an illusion, confusion or true? They say the pages of history are written by those who claim victory, controlling minds for 2,000 years, kept us in line by stoking our fears. No longer will we hide who we are. We're stronger together by far. We are witches, we shall rise from the earth into the skies. Unite.
I always rock out.
Well, I know you
I love
have
that
to just
one.
rock out, you know. So, hello everybody. Blessings tonight. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Tonight we have a special guest and friend, Lord Elith, a margin practitioner walking a path shaped by King Solomon himself through spirituality, faith, and various occult studies. For the past 6 years, Lord Elith has dedicated himself to divine exploration of angels, demons, divination, witchcraft, and various other forms of spirituality, and various practice through hands-on experience, countless hours of research and devotion to this cause. So let's go ahead and bring him up because I'm so excited of some of the things that he has to tell us.
Hello, thanks for having me, guys. I really liked your intro. That was intense. I feel like I need to have like my own like entrance music now that I have to like.
I don't like the song.
You like
She
the
thinks
song?
it's 80s.
She
I
thinks
don't
it's
like
too
it.
80s.
I mean, it is
Yeah,
a little
and
bit.
it's
I
like
think
it's
it
not.
needs, I think it needs to be like a mix of like older age but like newer.
But the thing is, it's like 2024 when the album came out, 23 or 24. So,
I just don't
It's-
know how you feel about it.
you know, but, Medium Red and I, we're going to just
I'm picking.
trumpet and
Yeah,
say
they don't
we're
care what I think
keeping
on
it.
that.
We don't.
We love it. We love it.
Yeah,
The
that was
words are so powerful, I mean, I just absolutely adore
know.
the words are just the best part of it. It's us.
Yeah.
So that's
It
perfect.
is. And it's so perfect this time of age, So
Right.
that's why I like it so much. Medium Red, why don't you start us off with some questions here?
Well, I'm just so excited to talk to you because I'm a paranormal investigator, obviously, as you are, and also a medium, a psychic medium as well. And so I am just thoroughly excited to ask you about your investigation at the Ed Gain house.
Oh yeah, that was something.
I
do you want me
bet.
to- Or do you want me to start?
Wherever you want, everything and all of it.
Sure. So I have a cousin, and he does ghost hunting more than I do. He knows that I do a lot of spiritual stuff. I do a lot of witchcraft and divination, Ouija board as well. I do mediumship as well. I went to Psychics Unite for about a year. I took the mediumship class, and I did like a whole bunch of other stuff over the years. So he hit me up, and then we decided that we were going to go together. It was just going to be me and him. He wasn't going to bring his team like he normally does. So he has a lot of like the electronic, like the kind of more like muggle equipment, right?
Right.
But we ended up only kind of just bringing his camera equipment and then myself. So we we didn't fly. We drove out there, and it took us a minute to find it because we showed up at night, and he was paranoid that like, oh my gosh, he's like, I don't know, I feel like this place is like patrolled all the time, dude, blah, blah, like it's Ed Gein. I was like, yeah, but like his grave's pretty much gone. It's not like October. I think we'll be okay. And everything was pretty chill. So we ended up finally finding it, right? And then, actually, let me back up. Before we found it, what ended up happening was that we went to stop at like a Ace Hardware to get like a soda or something. He looked at me. So my cousin's done the research on Ed Gein a lot. He's seen the Netflix stuff, whatever else. For me, I'm showing up to this investigation kind of blind. Like I know the name, I know some little bits in here and there, but otherwise I haven't looked into this. I'm going in completely cold.
Right. Love it.
So we're at the Ace Hardware store, and then he kind of looks at me for a second and he realizes, he's like, I think this is like the same store that he picked up or at least watched like his first victim from. This is crazy. Yeah. And then me and him, we found out how both him and I are connected to Ed Gein, right? So back in 2020, I was working at the Monona Health Institute when I was working for a construction company, and we were doing renovations there. And that was where Ed Gein had been, and that is where Ed Gein had passed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I mentioned to him that on my first day when I walked in, I looked at the foreman, and she was kind of sensitive too, but she didn't really pursue her abilities like I did. She was just kind of like, no, I don't do that. And I walked in on my first day and I looked at her and I said, this place feels like cancer. And then I told my cousin that. He looks at me, he's like, dude, he's like, that's how he died. And I'm like, what? So I don't know any of this stuff, and I'm just saying whatever's going on. And then he tells me that he works for a company that makes meals for the Institute.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's how him and I, right, like kind of had that link. And
that
then,
connection. Yeah.
And he's done stuff with like Ed Gein before. He went to wherever the museum is. I can't remember. It's rumored to have like the cauldron, the pot that he used to like boil stuff in. He said he touched it. He said he touched it.
I did too. It's in Las Vegas. It's at Zach Baggins. Yeah. Zach Baggins has it now.
So he had a huge back. So he felt as though
What's that?
Didn't he have like a skull that he like ate out of?
Yeah.
Or something like that? Was that?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, that's, yeah. But so he kind of already had that introduction and that energy with Ed Gein already. And then he told me that he felt as though, we would be welcome there and everything. So we showed up at the cemetery, and it's just us. It's already nighttime, and I leave 2 pennies at the entrance, and I state like my purpose, my intention. I say I'm not here to cause any harm or any ruckus or anything like that. I got some questions. We went in one way and we went out a different way. That's good etiquette, right?
Right.
So when we finally found the spot, right, he told me that he used to basically chew a lot of like Wrigley's, juicy fruit, right?
Yeah.
He had like a mound of it somewhere in the place when they like investigated it or something. So I showed up, I'm chewing some juicy fruit, and then I left a piece on each little headstone that was still there, because it's just dirt, right? So I did that, and then also just for like the times, I got a bottle of ice cold Coca-Cola instead of just traditional water, and then I fed the spirits that. Then before we could even speak to him, we actually had to ask his mother, Augusta, for permission.
Gotcha.
We ended up talking to her for a little while, and she kind of mentioned some stuff about like her son. I think some stuff about like mental health kind of came up, because from what I understand, like she was like super religious. He definitely had some probably like mental health stuff that, probably didn't know how to take care of it or help during that time. And it just like, expedited a lot of this stuff. So since like, myself and my cousin, we're kind of coming at it from more or less like this was an individual who probably needed help and didn't get the help that they needed. And then that's why it kind of happened.
Totally correct. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah. So we had asked her some questions. She seemed like she was kind of okay. I used like a word generator app while I was out there. It was okay. It definitely said some stuff that was like kind of like interconnecting to the thing. So I did 2 sessions. So I did a session with my tarot, and then I did a session with my Ouija board. I would say that I feel like the spirits responded way more to the tarot than the Ouija board. And I think my cousin, he mentioned too, where he was like, well, he wasn't able to have like a super great education because of where he grew up and the abuse that he had gone through. So he's got a hard time with the letters. So I think up on YouTube right now is the session with the Ouija board. So I set some candles up. I took like the skull and I put it like right in the middle of like where his headstone was. And I have some candles around that too. Cause like when I like to do mediumship, I'll like usually have that. I'll light a candle on top. So that way I can kind of like tap into it a little bit more.
Right.
So yeah, it was definitely really interesting. And then he had some questions about the whole like Netflix thing where he's like, I wonder did he actually have like this like hidden lover or whatever else, something along those lines, right? And I checked into it, and didn't look like he really had something like that going on. His father actually, he showed up for a little bit too. And there was some speculation that his father potentially had done some things to him as a child as well. Even though my cousin said, he's like, there's like no documentation to confirm or deny that. But at the end of the tarot thing, he basically told me that at the end of the day, he would think that he's done because he's got the 10 of Pentacles now. Like his family's famous, he's got money, everything's great, whatever. So at the end of the day, he wouldn't change it. And then from my cards, and it could just be because of the depictions on the cards, but it sounds like he was kind of more into redheads than anything. Because like the death card that they have shows Death picking up a girl with red hair up out of the crowd, like out of all the other women and stuff. So that was really interesting to kind of see. And then after that, we kind of like, collected everything. We're like, all right, cool. This is really interesting. So we give our thanks, clean up this, and then we go. And then we go somewhere, we go to the bathroom, and then he looks at me, he's like, hey man, we're kind of already here. I think it's already like 1 a.m. though. He's like, do you wanna go to the property? I'm like, fuck it. I was like, let's go.
You're like, does the sun rise? Does the sun set?
Yeah.
Right now, like, let's go.
Yeah. So we went to the property, and the property, like that energy, way different. Like the cemetery, that felt normal, like a little cold maybe.
Right.
But it felt calm, felt welcoming, everything felt great, right? But I feel like when we went to the property, we made a handful of mistakes. And first off, he didn't bring his camera.
Oh, shoot.
Secondly, he didn't ask Augusta for permission. He knows more about them than I do. So like, I'm just a guest of a guest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyways, we go, like the gate's there, and like there's like a lot of space like on each side of the gate. So it's not like really hard to, keep people out or in. It's just kind of there. Right. So we walked in, and there's nothing really there, right? It's just kind of like empty trail. So we walk in, and all we got is our flashlights on our phone. That's it, right? I didn't bring my wand. I didn't bring my tarot. He didn't bring, his cameras or anything like that. So we're out there, and then he's commenting. He's like, the house probably would have been about like right here. And then he's kind of showing me, he's like, and then the barn or the shed, that kind of would have been like right over here. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. So then we go like a little bit deeper to where the barn would have been, right? That's where the feeling of we're not supposed to be here came over very quick. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then we're looking out into the distance, right? So our flashlights like kind of pushing shadows away. Right. 2 buildings come out of the shadows. And then he tells me, he says, those buildings aren't supposed to be here. Wow. He's like, I watched a ghost hunt from 6 months ago. He's like, in broad daylight, neither of those buildings were there. And there's a whole telephone wire that's coming out through the woods going down there. And then one of the sheds, it's just like cinder block or whatever. It had a really weird steel door on it, no windows, vent on it. And then the wall next to it, like that it's a part of, had a vent on it. The way that was painted on the outside looked like it was a mix of like shit and bile. And then there was slash written in like square letters. And then my cousin, he's like, let's get closer. And I'm already like, dude, the spirits were like, get out now, right? And he's like, oh, come on. So he's like standing right in front of the door, and I'm on high alert. Like literally, I'm sensing like to completely outside of like my aura, not even like on him. And I'm waiting for somebody or something to like show up. And he's just standing in front of the door. I'm like, don't touch it. Do not touch it. Do not knock on the door. Don't do anything. We need to leave now. Because the air was uncharacteristically quiet, very calm. Like there wasn't a sound, there wasn't wind, there wasn't animal, nothing. And I'm like, we need to leave.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that was the property. So I think that in the future, like if we ever went back to the property, and the other thing too, it's like when we were there, because of the shed and that feeling, we didn't do a proper investigation or anything. Right. I was just like, hey man, I think we fucked up a couple things. This does not feel great or safe. Right. So then after that, we packed up and we went. I would like to go back at a different time. Because what is it? Like, witchcraft, right? I definitely got myself some dirt. Gotta But I didn't get any dirt from the property because I was like really big out because I was like, oh my god, there's gonna be like this face dude that comes out of the woods and we're next.
Did you feel any of the victims when you were there too?
No,
Or was it?
I think it was just like a lot of like overwhelming, like ominous presence of like you're not supposed to be here. And that could have been too from just like the amount of trauma that was on the land.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it could be
Energy
imprinted on the
imprint.
land.
Yeah.
It could have been maybe that's just what I was like picking up, but like
Mhm.
coming across like that shed, it like compounded what I was already feeling by like a lot. And I've been around a lot of energies over the years, like angels, demons, people, like magic, you name it, whatever.
Mhm.
But that was definitely one of the moments where like it's memorable. It's like I think the last time I felt the energy that was that crazy or that intense, it was either an archon or it was like I inappropriately had summoned Baal, and it was not a good time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's awesome. What a great experience to have. I mean, across the board. I mean, good, bad, and you know, the good and the ugly, basically, to it. But yeah, when you go to Zach Baggins' museum and he has part of the barn. He has literally devoted a room to Ed Gain. He has the cauldron, and he does have it surrounded with glass or plexiglass. He does tell you not to touch it. There is salt that is around it as well, just like he did with the Dybbuk box that he has as well. But I mean, he literally has the wood slats. He has the beams, the roof. I mean, he has dirt. He has he's replicated it exactly as it was on that property that you were there.
That's impressive. I'd like to see that sometime. I don't get to travel too much, so I'm hoping that as I do like more investigations, I can kind of like get out there a little more. But that'd be really cool to see. So
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Little side note for myself, you know, 'cause I'm a witch and whatever else. So like, I had somebody that like really kind of, I would say like threatened me with intention, and I didn't appreciate that. So I asked my buddy old Ed Gein to help me out with some stuff.
Mhm.
So I had to get out the
lucky
juicy.
to do it.
I had to get out the juicy fruit again, and I was like making like a little shrine just for him out of juicy fruit, like they found in the house. I'd like every piece that I chew when I lose flavor, I'd like put it on there, and then the candle would be going and stuff. And everyone's like, "You cannot build an altar to Ed Gein," and I'm like, "I'm not. I'm asking for a favor. I'm asking for a favor from the world. Okay, like you know."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I've always been taught since I've been younger, is to talk to the spirits, work with the spirits that are around you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. And you had something else that was exciting that you told me about the other day. What's this about music video that you was in?
Oh yeah. Okay, so I wanna back up real quick. So what happened was I was doing work for a client, and then this client tells me they need me to do a binding on a man so that way they can like fall in love forever and all that wonderful stuff. But she tells me, she says, I need you to use Lucifer to do it. And I say, okay. And then Lucifer tells her, well, you want this man to love you forever. You want these permanent results, but you won't give me anything permanent. You won't give me any devotion. So you are going to help initiate my high priest, and he's going to get my symbol on his throat because he's going to be my mouthpiece. And I'm like, well, that's pretty lofty. I don't know about all that noise. Like, hold on. Long story short, that ends up, you know, happening, right? And then he's like, you're like a high priest of Lord Lucifer now. And I'm like, okay, thanks, I guess. I don't know if it totally checks out for this, but I'll live up to the part, you know?
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine, he's in the music industry and stuff like that, and he had told me about this band known as Saint October. And what happened was they've been a band for a little while. I believe that they are in, is it Iowa? It's either Iowa or Illinois. I always get the two like mixed up.
I have to look it up now.
Yeah, no, honestly, like
They're neck of the woods.
led by like a lady. She's the lead vocalist and she does metal. Her husband's in it. They've got a few other friends. It was really cool being on the set with them. Like honestly, I've been around a lot of people and I've been around a lot of groups and a lot of teams. And both individually and collectively as a band, they had awesome energy.
That's
like
cool.
very, very clean, very light. And I was like, this is probably why you guys can manifest stuff as fast as you can, because like it's so light with everybody in the group. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're very intertwined.
They're from, I think, Iowa.
Oh wow.
So, oh, well, that's cool.
The Quad Cities.
The Quad Cities. Okay.
Yeah, they
That'd
do
be
shows and stuff. Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I got a call, and the call was that they're making a witchcraft music video or whatever else from one of their songs, and it's about witches, you know, in the past, things that happened, taking up your power, and tarot and stuff like that. And my buddy, he knew me, and before he met me, he was really kind of skeptical about some of this stuff. And then I gave him a reading, like the first one I ever gave him, and I was calling some stuff out about his passed on father that he hasn't told really anybody. And he would get chills in his body like while I was reading the cards, and he's like, yeah, he's like, from that day I was sold. So I ended up making connection with him. He knew the band, and the band was like, hey, we're kind of like doing this video thing. They were supposed to come to where I was originally, but then what happened was there was like some kind of argument or falling out, so then they ended up staying in Iowa. Like, hey, we're gonna do the video in Mason instead. And they're like, you know, really sorry about this. I was like, I'll come out there. I don't even care. Like, I will drive my ass out there. And that's exactly what I did. And they're like, hey, we can't promise you any money or anything, because like, you know, all the money that we plan to use for the music video and stuff like that, we spent on hotels and stuff down there, and we're probably not gonna get any of it back. I'm like, I don't even care. I don't even care. Because like for me, I'm like, this is gonna be cool, this is gonna be great. And then two, it's gonna be great for my brand and everything. But then as well, when I found out that they had like the music video that they came out before this one was Morning Star. And it was right after I got initiated as a high priest. So I was like, oh, okay. So
Ties together.
yeah, I show up and they're like, hey, what's up? And at first they're like, oh, the tattoos are cool. And then I tell them, like, yeah, so I do all kinds of stuff. Like, you know, I've dealt with full body possession before, blah, blah, blah. I'm like telling them stories. And like their logical side is like, there's no way. But you can tell that their spirit is like, no, every word that he just said is factual.
Right.
So I looked at them and I was like, did you really think that you could call on Lord Lucifer and he wasn't going to show up? So everything was like super last minute. So we didn't have like awesome, like, you know, prep background stuff. But, you know, in my mind, thank God, you know, I had the shop and I was at the castle at the time. So I just grabbed a bunch of witchy stuff. My ADHD brain went 1,000 miles a minute. So the table that you see in the music video, the setup on the table, and then kind of like the red around the drums and the singers and the lights and stuff, that was a big part of me. So a lot of that stuff was my stuff. So I brought like real candles. I brought a thing for the table, setup, all this jazz. And then the staff that you see that lady holding in the music video, her name is Monica, by the way. She's super awesome. Yeah. I made that staff. That is a Wendigo staff. It is a sentient being, and she is the only other person that I have allowed to actually like hold her.
Now, was this? Can you see the video on YouTube?
Absolutely, yep. So you're gonna look up on YouTube. You're gonna look for the band called Saint October. That's ST period and then October, like the month. They have another music video that is Morning Star, and they play a lot of like stuff in Iowa, from what I understand. They're trying to branch out. I think that they had a tour in the UK one year, I believe. But yeah, honestly, I would check them out. They got really good music, and besides that, like I said, they're like super wholesome people individually, but also like as the band. And like I'm that's probably something I'm gonna harp on like literally every day, because I read people every day for a living. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm around all these different energies all the time, and like that was really clean. That was really wholesome to be around, and like that's the thing that like I pay attention for the most, you know?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dante. I was trying to type, and I had to switch computers because, unfortunately, Mercury just wants to screw with me.
She just wants to blame something. It's fine.
Yeah,
but yeah, Dante has it right. Let's see.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dante. I do appreciate that, and you can find that on YouTube. So check it out, and you would see him in the music video.
That might be a good one for Sid, you know?
Yeah.
You're up, you know, for up and coming bands. He always likes to promote the ones like, you know.
Yeah.
That might be really good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah, if you guys end up linking those guys, like just make sure you put my name in the middle of it, because I would love it. They're just like,
we
got a thing, thanks, bro. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
I've been watching Elith for a while now on TikTok. So
oh yes.
And you should have seen his castle like set up though. It was really badass.
Yeah, it was so great. So they kicked me out. They made me end my lease early because I was burning sage and incense and stuff. So inside the castle, it was kind of like a artsy / alternative healing area. So like they had like an acupuncturist, they had a massage therapist. But the other thing too is it was crazy. Like I showed up with my dog one day, and then the guy's like, "Yep, There's no dogs allowed on premises, but my corgi is always allowed here off leash. No big deal. He's like, it says it in the land contract. It was just like a lot of hypocritical stuff. It was kind of unfortunate in a certain, way of things. It was definitely a learning experience for me in a lot of different ways. I think the thing that disappointed me the most was that the day after they were like, hey, we're going to like sign this thing. We need you to like start kind of figuring out when you're going to be out of here. The next day there was a routine gas checkup.
Oh, geez.
And there was a gas leak. So people were told to like go outside and wait. But nobody told me. Nobody told me that. No, there was no email for this routine scheduled checkup. Nobody messaged me or knocked on my door that there was a gas leak. Ooh, fun fact too, when I had my shop there one day, there was somebody that was there for like their church meeting on Wednesdays and stuff. He saw me inside my shop, door open, right? I'm cleansing the space, I'm ringing bells and stuff, burning sage. He sees me, he goes around the corner and I hear him praying. And then when I come back around the door, like, because I'm doing my rounds, right? He starts throwing his bottle of water at me saying that's holy water.
Did it help?
I was like, dude, if you wanted to be pissed off spirit, you could have just asked me.
I know. Did you say, oh, great, thank you. I needed that to help cleanse the space. So that's awesome.
Favorite thing
No,
people want to throw.
what happened was like he left and then he came back sometime like a little bit later and it was super comical because the building manager was there, I was there, the pastor was there, his wife was there, and then the guy came back. And then he's just like, I'm never coming back here again, blah blah. I'm like, great.
Do you know what it reminds me of? When we went to a funeral, Elith. Okay, so my family's known for being witches.
Yep.
And it was one of Kevin's sisters, but they her family wanted to do, was it a Christian funeral?
Instead of pagan.
But he pointed us out in front of everyone and said that we're witches. And it's small town, I think in Missouri, right?
Yeah, Wayland, Missouri, about probably 500.
I felt like I can't even explain the feeling, but I felt like they were gonna burn me at the stake at that moment.
So like the other day when I was doing ghost hunts and stuff, I went to 2 different cemeteries. So I went to 2 of the 3 cemeteries for the Witches Triangle in Whitewater. And my friend, they were using like their word app or whatever else, like with ghosts and spirits. Both locations referred to me as death and or a demon. And like the first cemetery, they wanted me to leave or us to leave because they were so uncomfortable. They're like, what in the hell is this thing walking around outside? So to me, to see my energy translate like that, like both in like a physical and a non-physical way, where it's like, okay, like what the fuck is this thing walking around, checking shit out? Like, to me, that tells me I'm doing everything like just streamlined, And I looked at my friends. I was like, "Did you guys give an offering at all?" And they said no, because I'm looking for Poison Widow right now. I'm like, all right, where's this lady who tried to like fucking poison her whole family, And I found her, and then it was interesting. So this was the most recent ghost hunt. I cannot recall the name of the first place that we went to. The second place has like the tomb, I guess, or the crypt. But the first place, the spirit, she basically came through, kind of confessed, where she's like, yep, I did these things and I got caught and it wasn't great. It was interesting because my friend's reading made it seem as though she wanted us to usher her into the light. So then, well, hang on. So when we show up though, right, the Whitewater College campus is playing their band stuff outside. So I show up, we get out, and it just sounds like somebody's playing like clown music. Like I've got this in the background the whole time, and I'm like, what the fuck? And so, like, okay, the spirit's like, I want you to push me into the light, and I'm like, okay. So I'm ordained, right? So if you need somebody buried or whatever else, and they're concerned that they're a witch, you should totally invite me, and I'll make them really concerned, right? And like when I'm done, I'll be like, I need some dirt. Anyways, so I find the spot, we give the offering, everything is really cool, everything is really chill. And then when we go to push the spirit into the light, I start off by doing the LBRP, and then I do my protection prayer where I put on the armor of the Elohim. And as I'm doing it, like I go to call on like an angel, and like right when I start it, the band, like their drum hits like really hard at the same time. And then I would go to like vibrate the words, and it's like the cicadas were like vibrating the tonation with me, like the same length of the word and everything. It was so weird. And this is like broad daylight too. And I was like, oh shit. Then we went to the second location. well, hang on. So after we pushed her into the light, we got the Page of Pentacles, and that basically told me, she's like, hey, there's a gift I have for you somewhere in the cemetery if you can find it. And I'm like, okay. And I did. I found a wand.
Wow.
We found like this really cool like stick, and it's got like grooves and stuff in it. So I have to like make it and like improve it. And this was a gift to me by Poison Widow, like the lady. I believe her maiden name, I think, was Myrtle Shod. That wasn't like her married name though.
Right.
But yes, she tried to basically like murder her whole family. And I thought it was funny because the next place that we went to, and again, remember, this is the Witch's Triangle, right? Is like the tomb or the crypt. And I believe that was where Mary Blood is, or is rumored to be. But then somebody was telling me she's actually a myth. But I'm like, that's really weird, because when I showed up, I could hear a voice speaking to me off of the water, like from the lake. You know, and you could hear it like literally anywhere in the cemetery almost, right? And then we go to the crypt, right? We find it, and again, the spirit's like demon, devil, like all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, hi, I'm here. I have some questions for you, you know. And eventually, like, they kind of chilled, they kind of calmed down, so that was nice. And then I took videos of the door to the crypt, right? So you have a middle one, and then you have one on the left, and then the other side is just like kind of concrete, right? So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take an image and I will mirror it, right? So it makes like a double almost, with like a meeting in the middle, right? So I did that with the doors, right? There's a third door that appeared that wasn't there before, like in the mirrored video. So I saw that. I saw the Three of Cups to the Three of Wands. And I was like, I think me and my three witch friends have to come back to these locations and do something in relationship to this doorway or this portal or whatever this is. Because the Witch's Triangle is rumored to be a big portal or location where spirits just kind of like roam around freely, like within that space, right? And then we ended up being there pretty late. The spirit kept telling us to leave, because obviously a lot of cemeteries are like, hey, you can't be there after dusk, when that's the best time to be there.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
It is, yes.
I
It makes me
agree.
want to go up there and just like ghost hunt with Elith.
Yeah, but she called us to come back. She wants us to come back during the day. So I guess we made a friend. So
Oh, awesome. That's cool.
There is a cemetery that is. I'm in Arizona. They're in Iowa, and there's a cemetery in Florence, Arizona, that is rumored to have had. There's 3 fake headstones, and I was able to find them. And the lore, which is actually not lore, it's really true. There were 3 women who were witches, and they put them to death, and they buried them under, with false headstones, so that people wouldn't try to go out there and unbury them. I was able to find the 3 of them, and they told me that their high priestess was also buried in the cemetery. And I think I found her. And when we had gone the first time, there was one girl that we had that she was more about like TikTok like this, instead of being like involved in the like investigation. So they specifically said, please do not tell her where the 3 witches says, please do not tell her where we are buried. We do not want that kind of, advertisement. We like where we're at. We like to be in peace. And so they said, but we would love you to come back. We would like to talk to you more. And it was funny because it was right after I had met Chris and Chrissy. And Chris had said, you're an elemental witch. You're a fire witch. And so when I was at those graves, they said, we have questions and we have lessons for you as a fire witch. And I went, I'm still getting goosebumps from it. And I still got to go back. It's a 2-hour drive, but it's well worth it. But that was so funny of her saying, please do not bring back the TikToker. Yeah.
They're like, hey, we have rules. And by the way, we have a side quest for you now. And it's just like, bro, I already have like a list this big of side quests. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, I have questions for you. Mine's really long.
Well, it's interesting too, because like the wand that I got, a friend of mine was asking me, they're like, how do you like, I guess like structure like some of your readings or whatever else. So I was like, it's actually like super basic. It's not even really that big of a deal. It's kind of like headlines, and then you have bullet points, and then you have like meat and potatoes of those bullet points. It's really easy, right? But then they gave me their oracle deck, right? And the first card that I pulled out was meetings, and it had like this like cat that was sitting inside of like a teapot, and it was looking at this little fae spirit that was sitting on like the spout. And I looked, and I was like, this is basically telling me that this wand is sentient. Like,
wow.
Yeah, and then like, the 3 cards basically said the same thing, where like that fae spirit kept showing up. And while we were there, my friend even kept saying over and over again, they're like, there's a lot of fae spirits here. And I'm like, I don't really do anything with fae. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm aware of them. I respect them, but I haven't necessarily like tapped into that. I've seen like a fae like circle with like mushrooms and stuff. And I've seen their little offering bowls and stuff in the woods on the occasion where like I'll leave like a little thing here and there. But otherwise, I've never done anything like super intensive when it comes to fae.
I worked with fae since I've been a little girl, so.
So on TikTok,
Hold on. I have a question before we get to this point.
Okay. Sorry.
Didn't you do like an exorcism? Do you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah,
exciting.
Yeah, I told you.
So that was
Gosh, enough of his lives. I got this.
See, she's your biggest fan.
Yeah,
well, I've been friends with him for like how long now?
A couple years for sure. Yeah. No, it was interesting. Like my cards kept telling me that they're like, hey, like you're gonna end up like learning how to do exorcisms and all this other kind of stuff. Like you're ordained. Like we're basically like employing you like full time in this spiritual work, and this is gonna be a part of it. Like you've done enough stuff with like demons, you know, you've done enough stuff with angels, so now it's time for you to just kind of like wield both of them, you know, at your own will. And I'm like, all right. And even the cards that I have, so I have this deck right here called like the Golden Czar, right? And this has like aspects. This has like aspects of like the Christian faith that's like in it, like different like Bible stories and stuff. And it's interesting because like the cards will come out and tell me that like, yeah, you're basically being trained to like be like a whole like demon hunter essentially. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yep, you're gonna be doing this crazy stuff. So I'm at like a little fair or whatever else. My friend is a reader that's there, so I'm there to support them. I end up running into this one lady, and she kind of tells me a little bit about her story. And she tells me that since the time she was like in 8th grade, she tried to a little bit of trigger warning. She tried to take her own life by hanging herself with a belt in her closet. And after that, she asked her mom for an exorcism, and then her mom instead decided to put her on pills. And she has been dealing with self-harm in that spirit for like a decade. And then she told me about it. She's like, yeah, like I can't really have relationships. It makes me want to hurt myself. It makes me want to kind of like hurt other people sometimes too. So I gave her a reading, and as I'm giving her a reading, I'm like, yep, this is basically like a bloodthirsty spirit. You call it crimson, but its older Hebrew name is aluka, which is like a blood-sucking leech, right? That's usually on horses. So it wants blood. It wants suffering, right? So what ended up happening was the cards also told me that the spirit that I would use to exorcise her was actually La Santa Muerte. So I showed up, I had my tools, I had a La Santa Muerte grimoire with me, and I've like, you know, thumbed through it before. I did a whole invocation, and then I did a rosary invocation with that as well. And then it was basically like we had to have them like bound and like tied up in a blanket. I put her back in the closet, and then we tied her like with that same belt. Her friend had to hold her down and whatever else. I invoked the most holy death, and then I basically just kind of screamed at him for a while. There's definitely a very intense energy. The video quality was super bad because like I turned the lights off, and then I had like just the light from the candle. And then while I was doing, so I almost always do LBRP, and then I usually put on like the armor of God, because usually that'll shield me from pretty much just about everything. And while I was doing that, like the camera got like knocked over. But it's interesting because there's a part in there too in the video where I'm like consecrating the salt, right? And as I'm like consecrating the salt, the subtitles come in, and you can hear something or somebody say, "I agree."
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just like, you know, like I hereby consecrate the salt, blah blah blah. Like I exercise you of like all falsehoods and fantasies, blah blah blah. And then like right after it, you see, "I agree."
That's incredible.
Yeah, I had my friend watch it with me. They said that their third eye and their crown was just like lit up like all the way like while they were watching it. And it's mainly me just shouting the same thing over and over again. And I did it by the book, which they want in the book. It's you know, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. But there's certain aspects in the grimoire where it mentions like Yeshua or Jesus, and it's interesting because it's like I work with all kinds of spirits, but for some reason, like
Mhm.
that one just feels kind of like weird or awkward. But like even the Golden Czar Tarot, which deals with, you know, the Christian faith and whatever else, is basically telling me that they're like, yeah, bro, you're pretty much like the son of God now. And I'm like, no, what? No. And they're like, yeah, go do some exorcisms now. And I'm like, what has my life become? All right, yeah, I'll go yell a little bit. Yeah, sure.
We did interview an exorcism demonologist recently, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Ooh, is that
She's
up on the
coming back
page?
on in October too.
And then we might be taking demonologist classes.
Yeah.
I could definitely help with that. I've been doing, I would say, like kind of like my own like little rendition of demonology for a while. So I would say I'm kind of like a modern day King Solomon. So for me, right, also like in it being in the unique position of being a high priest of Lord Lucifer, is that a lot of times people come to me needing help with spirits like Goetia. And let me tell you, if my cards tell you that this is what needs to be done, that this is the deal, I suggest you follow through with that. Because when it comes to what I say with the Goetia and these cards, you will take that as law. I've seen that go south so many times for people where they're like, well, I don't believe in this stuff. It's like, then why are you talking to me?
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're playing games with me. And I'm like, well, they're going to now.
Yeah, right.
You know, like
I've had a reading by Elith, and it was like dead on. I'm like, I feel like you're calling me out and screaming at me at the same time, so I better just listen at this point.
Yeah. So it's fun being me. But yeah. So
this is why I always come back to his
yeah. So when we got done with the exorcism, like they were like all hot and sweaty and everything, right? I'd asked for a review. I still haven't got a review from somebody yet. I don't know why. I mean, I was told that they have memory issues, but they seem kind of like fleeting, which was weird because like afterwards they were telling me that their grandfather used to be an exorcist. And I was like, so I'm like, you've seen this stuff, so I don't understand like why you're not giving me a fucking review, you know?
Right.
I feel like for some people it's just like hard to hear the truth. Like it's, you know.
Well, this was the guy that was holding him down, so he was like there.
Yeah.
You know, let me pull up the notes on it because there was some other interesting stuff that happened like afterwards. So what happened was around that time when the person had tried to take their own life, I believe that they were going to Mount Zion as like a Christian. So we get done. I'm starving. Everybody else is starving. So we all go to get Culver's. Now, I noticed some things immediately because I'm always reading signs as they're coming to me. The client puts on a Lost Boys t-shirt, which is vampires, and it's got blood splattered all over it, right? We go into Culver's. They're playing Sweet Child of Mine. And then a lady that's taking my order. So when I say this isn't any like rip on like how they appear visually or the health things that they're working with, but it's more so a representation of how spirit was showing me the aftermath. Okay. She had, I'm assuming, rosacea or something, but it was like just on like this side of her face, just on this, like on her eye and stuff. And in my mind, I was like, is that a representation of the spirit that I just like pushed out? Right. So there was that. And then when we got there to Culver's as well, there was probably like 15 little kids outside. And then we got done eating. I went to sit in my car, and in front of my car was parked a Mount Zion van. These kids were from a church.
Wow.
So, and then I like did like a quick reading while I was there. And I was like, well, what are these kids trying to represent? What's this van trying to represent in connection to my client? And they were saying that like, you know, this specific spirit that you pushed out has claimed all these children before you pushed them out. So it's trying to show me all the children that spirit had claimed before I exercised it.
Wow.
Yeah. So the spirit was, like I said, known as Aluka, right? It's a bloodthirsty spirit. It could also like go into tandem with like the spirit of suicide. There's about 10 to 15 kids that were outside of there. I arrived at the location at about 11:36 a.m., finished at about 12:55. And I finished cleansing the room at 1:11 p.m. And then this was an excerpt that I found in my algorithm, like shortly after I was like learning about or, you know, writing this stuff down. So I'm just going to share this with you guys. And this comes from Eliphas Levi, by the way. Salvation is an inside job. The pathwork of the human soul on fire is ignited by the eternal flame of the spirit. Only those willing to surrender can withstand the unbearable burn of becoming whole. When the soul knows the body finally feels safe enough to burn deeper into the underworld, it does not ask for permission. It drags you into the hot coals through the decay, hands bloody, throat raw, heart cracked wide open. The soul does not coddle, it burns all that isn't of the highest octave to the ground. It is ugly, raw, messy, and primal. It is a combustion of refining the soul and convulsions of release. The body becomes the altar of the exorcism, as if something ancient purges through every pore. Density doesn't leave gently. A quantum collapse isn't quiet. Soul contracts don't dissipate. Healing is rarely clean. It claws. It sounds like war. It shatters. It burns. It contracts. It's filthy chaos. This is soul surgery, shamanic death, alchemical fire, soul reformation. One must first be turned to ash. When the smoke settles, what remains is purified soul who dared to descend, now awaiting embodiment. Until the next summoning, the soul initiates the body once more, for the higher one ascends, the deeper the descent. The brighter the flame burns, the more grotesque the burning. Salvation is an inside job. We do not need to be saved, but transformed by the fire of the eternal flame. The soul is the eternal flame that ignites the spirit.
Wow.
Wow. That's really cool.
That is.
Yeah. It's profound.
But like while I was in Culver looking at all the stuff and like writing these notes down, I was like trying to like gently point these things out to them, and it just kind of went. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool, you know.
Yeah.
Wow, that is cool. Back to TikTok now.
Oh,
How
yeah.
long you been doing TikTok? And tell the audience what you do on TikTok or what you do in general.
Sure. So I've been on TikTok for probably about 6 years. I think I had a different account for like a little while, but now I've been on this main one, I think for probably like the last like 4 years. I lost the password to the other one, but during that time I wasn't doing divination or anything. I was just being a goofball. So now this one is a lot more geared towards like, I guess like people's spiritual development, development of the self, access and connection to their higher self, their guides and spirit guides, and or potentially dealing with spirit, I would say like spiritual ramifications. We'll just leave it at that because that still leaves it like really broad, really vague. Yeah. So I do divination, right? I also do like mentorship and coaching. I can teach you how to do magic exactly the same way that I do, and I can train you to see and discern the signs the exact same way that I do. And I can show you how malleable reality can really get. But you know, it's like, okay, you got to remember, it took me 6 years to get here. I can give you the cliff notes to that, but that doesn't mean that there isn't going to be some development that needs to happen. Yeah. So some people, they come to me and they're just like, I want to know about my man. Is he the one? Like, my soul, my flame, you know, like I used to be all about that stuff too, but like I'm really careful like using those terms because I'm not trying to necessarily like promote codependency because that's a really rampant thing that's in there. Now, don't get me wrong; those levels of soul contracts are absolutely real, but the way they get kind of blown out of proportion is like that needs to get worked on.
Yeah. Correct. I agree with you 150,000% on that for sure.
All relationships, they're mirrors. You know what I mean? Right. Like that's all that this is. You're just in a world of mirrors. You just haven't realized that yet. You're in the waking dream. It's just another one.
Right.
I feel also like with your TikToks, like when I come in like as a seasoned witch, I'm intrigued about what type of work you're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the other really cool thing with my tarot is that so I have a lot of different decks that I can choose from. I've definitely like built up a collection over the years, but I would say that based on like the cards that I have, if somebody wants me to look into like a muggle situation, easy. I know what decks I'm grabbing and I can keep this like real surface unless I see like the magician show up like in the reverse with like Queen of Wands and like some other stuff. I'm like, okay, now we got magic, so I need to switch, right? So with my decks and just in general, like I can see how is that offering going with that spirit. Let's look at that contract that you made. Like, did you actually follow through? Like, what's the hiccup? What's the problem? Are you progressing the way that you want to progress? No, let's figure out why. But also too, even though my cards can show me the problem, they can also show me the solution. So my cards have single-handedly, aside from what spirits I work with, have probably taught me the most amount of magic aside from reading like occultic and traditional grimoires.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's really intriguing. I love that.
The whole light just went.
Is.
Yeah, it's
very intriguing. Well, of course, though, Elith, you have been for the past 2 years that I have known you, you have been very intriguing, amazing, inspirational.
I feel like every time like I go to his lives or talk, have a discussion with him, I always learn something new. and that's very important, especially as a seasoned witch.
Mhm.
And then you can always learn more from another
yeah.
witch or someone who does tarot.
Oh, yeah.
Because you might do tarot a certain way, but he
Mhm.
might do it differently. And I think it's really intriguing seeing him work on TikTok and then engage with
Yeah.
everyone. 'Cause it's really hard when you find
It's a different spirit.
a tarot card reader that will
Mhm.
engage with you and actually give you
Yeah.
advice the best way they can.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then
Right.
Well, I try to meet everybody like where they're at, you know, because it's like
Yeah.
I've been through it all. I've been in the highs, I've been in the lows, I've been a saint, I've been a sinner, you know. So I think that like it's also kind of like a spiritual therapy in a way for people, because like they can't probably go to like, you know, a traditional therapist or like a muggle and be like, I'm dealing with this stuff right now, and there's an aspect of myself, or there's a spirit, or like one time I had a friend that like, you know, they fucking this, that, and the other happened, and I'm trying to figure out what they need from me, you know. And yeah, like this stuff is very real. And I would say like the more that I've like leaned into it, the more that I've like surrendered to it, not only like the more power that I got, but more importantly, the more truth that I got, like for myself, those around me, like how things actually kind of work and go on. And that's the thing that has me enamored the most. And I think that's why a lot of spirits like really like me. So even though they come to me and they're like, hey, like you're gonna be like my priest and this, that, and the third, I'm like, you know, like there's people that have done like way more rites and passages and shit than I ever have for you in particular, you know.
Mhm.
For some reason they're like, and I think part of it is like, you know, I have that level of integrity, or it's like in the Bible, it's like Daniel had a heart for God, right? Like my heart isn't necessarily like, you know, for God. And if we're gonna talk about God, we need to be like on like the same level, I guess like terminology when it comes to that. Because like, yes, I am ordained, and yes, I do work for the Elohim as like an emissary or whatever else, but the Elohim is plural for gods, and I'm talking about like the old ones. I'm not talking about Yahweh, and I also don't deal with Baal or anything like that. And I will say a side note, so this is what I originally wanted to talk about. I'm not going to touch it like too much because like I don't want to cause any issues or anything. You'd be surprised how many agents in terms of like different types of demons that show up are actually agents of Baal. And you wonder why things are the way that they are.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the other thing that's extremely interesting is like, as I've studied the occult and I see these things show up in the government and I see this stuff show up in the law, and I'm not even talking about just spirits, I'm talking about like terminology.
Right.
So it's super interesting to like, again, just surrender to the current, because you see how much of this is truly an energetic game. And then you can start to kind of like take off like the different like trappings and expectations that people told or put on you. Because at the end of the day, this is just an accepted hallucination that you and I both agreed to. The only thing that's stopping you and me from playing Mario Kart on the highway is because we agreed to those same rules. The only reason that money has value is because you and me agreed that it did.
Right. Right.
Awesome. You know, we have to come on again because, you know, it's like we don't have much time with you.
I feel like it just goes by so quickly, and I
It
want to
does.
know more and more.
Yeah,
because he's just one of
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it does.
And actually, Chrissy, I was going to say there is another individual that we should have on with him
Oh,
that I think is.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
No, I don't know if you. I don't know if you know, but
you guys
yeah.
let me know. And
Is
then,
it a previous guest we had on? Oh, okay. Then I'm not. Okay.
Oh,
We're not on the
No.
same.
would you be willing
But
to
it is.
it's another guest?
It's an old soul, and I believe he's an old soul. Totally 150,000%.
Oh yeah, he is
Yes.
100%.
This would, I mean, we gotta have, yeah, this is
When
gonna,
I
this
first
is a
met
good marrying of information.
He's someone I have to keep on knowing, you know,
Yeah.
like you just
Yeah.
keep back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time Amy, I'll go, who are you talking to? And she would tell me, oh, Elith. I'm like, oh, time high. You know, and I want to know if she does or not.
I'm like, don't talk to my friends, mom.
She does. She's like, get back, old lady. Get back.
This is
Wowzer.
She doesn't share friendship. So
No, it's okay. I've seen a lot of interesting reactions to me and people not being able to have a certain level of access to me. My energy is definitely like invigorating, to say the least. It can definitely be addicting. And what is it? I did a ritual with a friend of mine where she asked me to help break Hecate out of like a mirror prison or something. So we did a big ritual for that, and it was very interesting because we went to do it. Right before we went to do it, a lot of chaos started happening very quickly. Like all these dogs in the neighborhood started fighting, fireworks started going off, like police sirens went down like a block away from us. And then it was right before I was about ready to like do the protections to actually like do the ritual. And everybody stopped at the same time, like, what the fuck's going on? And I was like, I need you to pay attention, because if you're about to do anything big that's important, a lot of shit's going to show up to try to derail that. And this is a prime example of that thing. Right?
Yeah.
So we did the ritual, whatever else. And when it was done, I had to take a sword and I had to basically send it through a mirror on a table, and glass went everywhere, but it did not go outside the circle that we cast.
Wow.
Like we like drew it on the floor, right? And then after the ritual was done, where I was standing, there was a 3-foot radius where it smelled like death.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's definitely
And then time was weird. It was 10:10 for an hour.
Wow.
We went back inside, right? We're all chilling, having a good time, whatever else. Starting to get later in the evening. And friends joking about some stuff. I looked at my phone, it's like 10:10, whatever. More time passed, blah, blah, blah. And then this person makes the same joke, right? And I'm like, wait a second. And then they're like, yeah, like, it's been 10:10 for an hour. And I'm like, what? And I looked at my phone, and sure as shit, it was still 10:10. And I was like, hold on. I was like, everybody locked the fucking real quick. And then after I became aware of that, then it finally started going again. Because then a little bit later, it was finally like 10:12 and 10:13. But I specifically remembered I looked at my phone quite some time ago, and then that person was like, it's been 10:10 for an hour. And I'm like, what in the world is this?
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm also tapping into like time dilation. I haven't like fully figured it out. I've also done bilocation. I've shown up in people's rooms and stuff like that, but I'm sleeping here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely like a pool of like abilities that are opening up to me that I still haven't fully figured out yet, but I'm excited. It's gonna be a blast.
I'm like you. My abilities, in fact, and it's in this last year, have been really like coming on very strong. I mean, I've even in my mediumship, I've turned corners left and right, and it's just been wild. I mean, Chrissy knows an incident that happened, probably like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
With a friend that's a witch. And there's a definite connection between she and I that like I knew something was going on before she even said anything, and she had not even showed up to our podcast. And I knew something was going on, but it was just like, I can't even give you words to explain it. I instantly like called Chrissy. I'm like, help, I can't understand this. You've got to help me. So my abilities are like, and even just talking to you, I'm like, I feel like they're just clawing, like right now, just kind of clawing out of my system.
So I'm a little bit of a catalyst. So like, I definitely like speed that stuff up, like the more I'm around. So
right. I'd love to have a reading from you. Actually, I would love to totally have a reading done. I mean, you'll have to give me the information, Chrissy and Amy, so that I'm able to contact them.
Oh yeah. Well, what does your October looks like? Because that would be a great month to have you come back on.
I think so too.
So I will get hold of you soon to talk about some dates in October to have you come on, because like I said, an hour is just not enough.
And we're picky about our October dates, so
yeah, we're really picky about our dates and everything.
Hang on. I thought, don't we have another Friday the 13th coming up? Is that in October?
Is it?
I don't know. Let's try here.
Double check and see, because I swear I thought there was another.
No.
Shoot. Okay, never mind. I thought there was, because I was like, oh my God, we should have them on Friday the 13th. Okay, never mind.
November. Well, we can have you on Friday the 13th on November.
Or November. Yeah.
Whatever you want. I'll leave it up to you. You can let me know and everything, so we can do all that. We do have a question about saving the life. The life is always saved on our YouTube channel. just jump over to Within the Cauldron YouTube channel, and you would catch the live. Elith probably has it too on TikTok or his red pages too as well. If you want a copy for yourself because you don't know how to do YouTube or something, message us Within the Cauldron Glow, GLOW at gmail.com, and I will send you a copy. Okay.
So to confirm, that's Within the Cauldron Glow, right?
Glow, GLOW. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's after Within the Cauldron.
But you can
That's-
just look
yeah.
it up on Within
It's
the
all
Cauldron.
one word. Within
Okay.
the Cauldron Glow. Yes.
Yeah.
One word. At gmail.com. .com, excuse me. But I just want to tell
Or you
everybody.
can email me at behindthewitchesveil
Yeah.
at gmail.com too.
Yeah, you can
There
do
you
that.
go.
Okay.
But I just want to say thank you for coming on. We see you in a couple of months or so.
Yeah.
And to the audience, thank you for
Before we
joining
let
us.
you go, though, where can we find
Oh
you?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I know talk.
Yeah, so you can find me. You can find my business page on Facebook. That is The Wandering Witch. You can find me on TikTok, Lord Elith, the Flame-Born King 666. That's on TikTok. I also have my own personal Facebook page. You can find me on there. Elith Mian. So that's my name, ELITH. You have MILLAN. You also have. I sent over some links and stuff. So if you guys have access to the links, I have a DOT card that I like to use. That's got a lot of like my links like really nice and cleanly set up on there. I was using Linktree for a while, but I like DOT better. It kind of feels more like personable to me. So yeah, I would say that those are probably like the most common places you can find me. My YouTube, I have a YouTube. I believe that's in the links as well. I only have like a video and a short on there. So going forward, I'm trying to promote more content on there because I've been primarily on TikTok for so long, but I want to make kind of like longer streamlined content, like longer in-depth readings versus just these like, does he love me? Does he love me now? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really what when I'm in there, that's what they ask him.
But the link is also scrolling across the bottom to the DOT one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
thank you.
if you click on there, it would take him to all his other links. At least it did for me. So yes, look him up, get a reading from him, and blessings to everybody who joined tonight.
Mhm.
Make sure you subscribe to everything with Elith, and also subscribe to Within the Cauldron. Share
Also Behind the Witch's Veil.
and Behind the Witch's Veil too, which is our sister channel.
It's more more dedicated to like the paranormal.
Yeah.
We get like the more spookier.
Yeah,
videos.
that's for sure. But
And
I just
hang back with us behind stage when we end the program for just a few seconds, if you could, please.
always forget that. So she's a good cop. Okay, blessings to everybody.
Okay,
thank
thank
you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
Good
you
night.
again. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.